Chris Wild, live from bar 4133. And this is not going to be a long video. I'd usually wait for an audience to get in here. But I honestly don't feel like giving much more of my day to this football team. Eagles get embarrassed today by the Dallas Cowboys. Absolute embarrassment in Dallas. You know, I said in my preview video I thought that the Eagles would win this game and that it was going to be close. They obviously did not win, and it wasn't close. And there were some things that I said in my preview that that really came true in this game. And excuse me while I turn off these house lights. Much better. So, in the preview, I said that the secondary was still going to be hurting, even though you get Darius Slay back, and that, the defensive line was going to have a good game, and the defensive line was non-existent. Fletcher Cox goes out of the game, and the defense absolutely falls apart. Lets up, I think, at one point, it was 5 straight possessions by the Cowboys that ended up in some kind of points. Realistically, this could have been worse. I think there were some times in the game where Mike McCarthy, like on 4th and goal, could have went for it. Bazooka Joe, what's going on, dude? I hope they don't win again this year. And again, I'll never root against them, but if they win next week, Dallas is in the playoffs, which, again, I don't care about because it's the playoffs with no fans or, that's a whole nother story for another day. But, the draft position now is in play. This is now where you can get a top 5 draft pick. But anyway, dude, the Eagles were doomed. Again, there were guys, and if you follow me, I cover this team. I could tell you their practice squad. I could tell you there were guys on this team that I honestly had no idea where they came from. Joe Bashi was playing on the defensive line. Who else do we got? Raekwon Williams. I know he was like an unsigned free agent. Jaquette might be one of the worst corners ever, and I thought he had a promising game last week getting torched by DeAndre Hopkins. He was, oh my God, it was unbelievable. Somebody asked if I think Jalen Hurts is still a good quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the kid's a rookie. I think a lot of people have to kind of look at that. I mean, look, he had 2 bad interceptions. One was at the end of the game. He was just trying to make something happen. But you talk about him and Carson Wentz, and again, you can see my little Carson. I'm a grown man with a Carson Wentz pillow buddy over there. So it's not that I don't like Carson Wentz, but Jalen Hurts made some mistakes today in his rookie year that Carson Wentz was making in his 5th year. So I think there's the difference on that. Also, the offensive line was absolutely putrid. I said it in the preview. I said it last week. Matt Pryor is a disgrace of a football player. He should not be on. You've got this guy that you drafted, Prince Tego. Why not put him in? Need some reassurance from Eagles fan after watching. Yeah, Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's the least of your worries. The least of your worries. I mean, he made some bad decisions. He had some bad turnovers. But again, it's a rookie. He's a rookie. And I even said this in the preview. I was waiting for when he was going to have a bad game, and that came today. I mean, a lot of it, I think, might have been play calling too. Yeah, I would have rather had Sua Opeta in there too. And Matt Pryor, I mean, there were times when the Eagles were driving. And look, all the penalties. This game was the Philadelphia Eagles season in a nutshell. I mean, it was everything that was in the season, right? You had horrible penalties. You had turnovers. You had turnovers that might not have been turnovers. You had bad calls, both on the offensive and defensive side. The referees were horrible. And you had some injuries, some pretty big injuries. Fletcher Cox going out of the game was really bad for this team. Every team that plays the Eagles double Fletcher Cox. So when you don't have Fletcher Cox in there, you don't have to worry about doubling them. At one point, I didn't know if Malik Jackson was in the game. I don't know what. I mean, it's pretty amazing to me how bad that this defense has become. And look, Jim Schwartz, I know he's probably going to get a pass this year because of all the injuries, but at what point, how many touchdowns was, and again, it's Andy Dalton. This isn't Aaron Rodgers. This isn't Tom Brady. This isn't Drew Brees. It's Andy Dalton. How many times are you going to let him throw for these long touchdowns before you say, I've got a guy on my team that, yeah, he's not a great corner, but he played corner in the Super Bowl named Jalen Mills. Why not move him over there? Give Kevon Wallace some more time at safety. How many times do I have to, Rudy Ford even, how many times do I got to watch this Marcus Epps just can't tackle, can't cover, can't do anything? I mean, this game had it all. It's Eagles season in a nutshell. And look, it mercifully is over next week. A top 5 pick, yeah. I mean, look, again, and it's who's picking these draft picks. That's going to be interesting. There's a serious question if they keep Doug Peterson again, and this is something, I would be against getting rid of a Super Bowl winning coach, but he definitely needs an offensive coordinator at least. Why do you go? Look, the Dallas Cowboys are 30th in the league when against opposing running backs. Yes, I understand it started getting out of hand, but why go away from the run? Why on 4th and 15 you go for it, but on 4th and 5 or 4th and 8 you don't go for it? Nicole Roby-Coleman is bad. I mean, this whole secondary, and the Eagles lost a lot of guys in the secondary. Avonte Maddox should never have been playing outside corner. He's a slot corner. That takes away Nicole Roby-Coleman. Get another outside corner, and Darius Slay, and now with Avonte Maddox. Now you have your set, but it just never worked out that way. Avonte Maddox gets injured. Grayvon LeBlanc gets injured. Rodney McLeod being injured really, really hurt this team, not just for his leadership skills and getting everybody set in their defense, but that safety position, again, last year, you lose a guy like Malcolm Jenkins. He's not there. It's film is not going to be fun for the DBs. No. Look, I can't think of a corner having a worse day than Michael Jacquet. That reminded me of Bradley Fletcher. Was that his name? They got toasted. They got absolutely, and of course it was going to happen. It was against 3 really good wide receivers, and it makes it's just tough. You see CeeDee Lamb, who selfishly, and I could give a shit about this when it comes down to it, but he's on my fantasy team. I'm kind of in the trenches here, going for first place next week. That helped out a little bit, but I mean, look, it's a guy that we could have had. We could have had a guy like CeeDee Lamb. I mean, if the Eagles would have just traded up for him. I mean, it's sickening. It's again, it's an embarrassment. It is an embarrassment to lose to the Cowboys, who aren't a good football team. They're not. Their defense, they don't have a great defense. Again, Jalen Hurts had over 300 yards passing again. Justin Jefferson, don't get me started on Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor had another game where, I mean, look, at the end of the first half, when the Eagles were kind of driving, you maybe thought there was going to be a Hail Mary. They did that play to Jalen Reagor. He had 5 guys blocking for him in the front. Probably he could have scored. He gets tackled. DK Metcalf, another one we should have had. But Jalen Reagor, I mean, they basically drafted a punt returner who they don't use as a punt returner, instead of a wide receiver that some people could say is the next Randy Moss. I don't think that's too much to say that. From LSU. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the offseason. Next week is the first time in my career as an Eagles fan that I don't want my team to win. Again, I'm not going to root against them. But as far as draft goes, and as far as just like, I'd rather Washington be in there, I guess, than the Cowboys. But again, this year, and this could just be from I'm in my feelings right now when it comes to this Eagles team, but this year in football, I don't even know if does it count? Does it really count? I mean, there's no fans. There were fans in Dallas. That's a crock of shit too, if you ask me. There were fans, but I mean, this whole year has just been weird. It's just been, and again, I think that's why some of these coaches are going to get a pass, and rightfully so. Doug Peterson, look, he won a Super Bowl, okay? I would love Jamar Chase, but I feel like you know what's going to happen, and I hate to get off track here, but what's going to happen is Jamar Chase is going to be available to us in the draft, and Howie is going to try to outsmart everybody and get somebody else. That's what's going to happen. We know it. We've seen it. It happens all the time. I mean, there's just a laundry list of players that he has not drafted that have, I mean, look, just the past 2, Metcalf and Justin Jefferson. These are guys that one is already in the Pro Bowl, and Justin Jefferson. I mean, these are game-changing wide receivers. Game-changing wide receivers. They talk about game-changing wide receivers. I was off my seat for the last time in the game when Deshaun Jackson came back, had that 81-yard touchdown pass, and then disappeared. absolutely disappeared. I don't even, what happened? Like, you went, and then I think the next time he went for a deep ball was late in the game when it was already out of hand to Alshon Jeffrey that drew that defensive pass interference. Yeah, the Eagles have a lot of problems, but you know what? I'm looking at this. And I was going to do this as a different video. Yeah, his knee was definitely down on that play. But the youth that they have on the team, when you look at it, it's not as dire as we think, okay? Jordan Mailata had a rough game today, went out with a head injury, but I think he's a very good left tackle. Dallas Goedert is good. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to be really good if that's the route that we go in. I still don't know. Miles Sanders is pretty decent. Alex Singleton is good. So you got some good young players, but there's just so much they need to. This was on the defense, absolutely on the defense, this game, because it got to the point where Dallas started going up so much that it just, when this happens, and you can look at the career of Doug Peterson, it completely throws his game plan off. Okay? They were running the ball in the beginning, absolutely running the ball, which was what made that Deshaun play happen. And then they just stopped. They just stopped running the football. And you can't do that when you have a bad offensive line and a rookie quarterback. I mean, it was the same thing when Wentz was in there. You know? Now, Wentz was making rookie decisions as a 5-year quarterback. And any game when Andy Dalton has it's Andy Dalton. It's Andy Dalton. That defensive line was so bad. It was so bad. Raekwon Williams, Joe Pesci, Joe Osman, who, I mean, you already went in without Josh Sweat, without Derek Barnett, and then Fletcher Cox goes out. I mean, what this was like a preseason game. This was like a preseason team. It really was. And while we're talking about Alex Singleton, you know, a part of the reason, and you go back to the beginning of this season, one of the reasons that, like, I don't want Jim Schwartz to be my defensive coordinator is, do you guys remember? I know it's been a while. We've had a lot of tough losses, but do you remember how bad Nate Gary was? Do you remember how many big plays Nate Gary gave up? How many game-winning plays Nate Gary gave up? I mean, Tyler Higbee had 3 touchdowns once. Claypool. I mean, like, he was so bad, and they didn't move him. They just kept him in. It took him getting injured for Alex Singleton to really get in the game and really have playing time. It's just unbelievable to me. Travis Fulgham, I mean, what happened to him? He had a couple balls today, but you know, at one point he was leading the league like in receiving yards through 4 weeks. So a lot of issues with this team, and I really think, and people will disagree with me, but I think Doug Peterson is like the last of our issues. I think now look, he cannot. I think his days of being a play caller might be over. It might be time that Jeffrey Lurie is gonna, and whoever the GM is gonna be. I hear it's gonna be Howie Roseman. I think that's a mistake. But if it's Howie, it's Howie. They got to sit him down and say, look, you can be our head coach, but as far as the play calling goes, we need to bring an offensive coordinator in here. Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey took Travis's spot, and I really, you know, when Alshon came back, they were kind of splitting reps, and then he just took his spot. But it's just all together, like this game just represented this entire season, and it was to the point where I couldn't even be mad about it. Like, I'm kind of numb, just numb to the bullshit that has been this Eagles season, you know. And don't get me wrong, I bleed green. And I'm not going to root against them next week, but I really don't want them to win that game. But in spite of us, they will have the best game. They will have the best game of the season next week. In spite, and it was, I started getting excited seeing the score from the Carolina game, and I'm going, holy shit! Like, the Panthers are going to beat the Redskins or the Washington team. I didn't think that was going to happen with Ron Rivera. Coming back, you know, playing against his former team, and they start going up, and as soon as they start going up, that's when the Eagles just, it was almost like the players are watching, and I mean, you looked, it was 14-3 at one point. It looked like the Eagles were going to run away with the football game. Again, Fletcher Cox goes out, and then all hell breaks loose. Eagles can't score. I mean, it's terrible. First drive, awesome. Big play to Deshaun Jackson, awesome. And then after that, it was just terrible. It was just penalty after penalty after penalty. Again, you can't ask this rookie to convert 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 18s, 3rd and 20s. You just can't. And why is Miles Sanders off the field so much? You know? What? Yeah, Ertz is showing sparks, just playing well. Yeah, he's a rookie. He's a rookie. But Miles Sanders, you got Jordan Howard's done. Why? I mean, they were putting him in when it's just crazy. And again, like let's say the Eagles were to get into the playoffs. Let's say they won today and then they beat Washington. It's a playoff game with no fans. It's a playoff game in Philadelphia with no fans. It's just there's going to be nobody there. Would this be the worst year ever to win a Super Bowl if you think about it? I mean, maybe the whole year, the whole season, the whole 2020, horrible bad vibe to it. But this is something that has been happening with this football team for a couple years. I mean, look, Carson Wentz. If it's not for Carson Wentz, the Eagles don't make the playoffs last year. He willed that team into beating, I think, 3 bad teams into the playoffs. And then the year before, I mean, you could see it just regressing. And it's time for some changes. Secondary needs help so bad. You're right. I don't know. Again, and it just goes into drafting. Sidney Jones, picking the wrong free agent. Like, why not James Bradbury? Like, I wanted this dude on the team. He's been playing great for New York. I don't know what happened to him today. But they don't and I predicted, if you go back to the preview, I predicted Slay was going to have an interception. It was just time. And I don't think there's an issue with Darius Slay. I just feel like there's one corner. He's one corner. They played worse than a high school team today, Jack. It was one of the worst losses that I can remember seeing. It's just, and it's guys that you look at this defense and the offensive line, they don't belong. They don't belong on a team. They don't. Matt Pryor does not belong on anybody's offensive line. Now, look, Jeff Stoutland has done a tremendous job. The Eagles have had, 13 different offensive line formations. The first time that's happened in NFL history. Stout has done a good job. But come on, man. Matt Pryor, like Prince Tego must be horrible. Like, he must not be good at all for him not to be over there. It's just, like you said, Suopeta, it's just been bad. Pryor looked okay at guard last year, towards the end of last year, at guard. But that was evident that he wasn't, Grayvon LeBlanc got hurt weeks ago. I want to say closer to a month ago. He's out, I believe it was an ankle or a knee injury to take him out of the season. So we just got to look forward, guys. We got to look forward to the future. I think that the offensive line woes are not going to be as bad as they are right now. I think Jack Driscoll is going to be really good. You should get Lane Johnson back next year. Brandon Brooks. Again, Jordan Mailata, I think, is a stud. Andre Dillard, see what happens with them. Herbig, I'm okay with Herbig too. We should put a tight end that card maybe. Yeah, I mean, it would have been better than what Matt Pryor was giving you this year, but just bad game. Eagles season in a nutshell as they lose 37-17 to the Cowboys. At least they prevented them putting a 40 spot up on us. Richard Rodgers was hurt too, and again, he's ancient. Zach Ertz, how about Zach Ertz? He went from being, one of the best tight ends in the league. You're coming into this year watching Travis Kelce get big money, and tight end from San Francisco. My brain is not there right now, but getting big money, and Ertz is invisible. We didn't score the whole second half. Yeah, this has been happening past couple weeks. Second half, it's like the defense of the other team makes adjustments, and our offense, they don't make any adjustments. They just don't make any adjustments. Again, I don't think Doug should be fired, but I don't think Doug should be calling plays. Should not be calling plays, guys. It's not working anymore. Your play calling, it's just not working. Okay? Why Miles Sanders doesn't have over 25 carries a game, I don't get it. But look, guys, that's all I got for right now. I cannot. It's just making my stomach hurt talk about this team, especially after a loss to the Cowboys. Thank you. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys watching my videos every week. Thank you very much. And look, we're all just fans. We all have voices. I'm glad I get to share my voice with you. I'm going to start looking at draft stuff. Honestly, that's one of my favorite parts of doing this. And look, there are some pieces there. Hopefully, I just want to see the team play well next week and maybe lose by 3. But that's all I got for you guys. Hey, everybody stay healthy out there. Happy holidays. I'll have some more videos during the coming week. I just wanted to get this one out of the way. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. Go Birds. I'll see you later.